Welcome back to another episode of the Grunge Bible Podcast. This is episode 242. My name is Ethan Shalloway. I'm joined by Chris Salona, and we are here to give you another episode of, some would say, the best podcast in the world. Others would not.
You know, that is the word on the streets sometimes. I hear some rumblings and some rumors, some whispers that, you know, we might be the best of all time.
Yeah, I'm not ruling it out, that's for sure. Right. There was just a rock and roll Hall of Fame induction last night, and I have a feeling that we're going to be inducted into some sort of Hall of Fame when it's all
I would hope so.
Done.
You know, as big podcasts go, ours was bigger than most.
That's right. So, today is November 10th, 2025, as this comes out, and we are, back from. It's been 2 weeks since we've recorded.
It's been a while.
A lot has happened. We have a bigger, life update. We can go through some stuff that happened. I don't even remember. I know you did some travel, and so we got to get a check-in from the road, obviously, because you put in some time behind the wheel, in the chair, as I like to say.
I did, yeah. I was operating.
So, and then obviously you guys all know this by the title and by what's happened over the weekend, but Soundgarden's officially in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Long time coming. So we're going to do a little banter about that. We have This Day in Music. That's pretty much going to handle what we have on the docket. So
yeah, absolutely.
Get your notepads out, because there will be a quiz.
There definitely will be, and we're playing for all the marbles here. I just consulted my my records, and Ethan, it's been 2 weeks in one day since we've recorded a podcast episode. We last sat down on October the 25th, and we did a double header that day. So thankfully, we only have to do one podcast today. We're recording this the day before the episode comes out, so it's Sunday, November 9th, about midday here. So let's check in here, because it's been a while, as we said. Mm-hmm. How are you doing, Ethan? What's new? We wrapped up October. We got November started. Halloween was in there a little bit of everything going on. So let's take the pulse here.
Yeah.
Get some vitals.
Giant Halloween. I'm doing very well. Halloween was really nice. It was really low key for me. I just went trick or treating with my nieces, and
nice.
And it was great, because when you go to college and you have your young adult life, Halloween revolves around holiday parties and
drinking.
Just going out. Yeah, drinking, going out, looking risky and whatnot. But all of a sudden, I was thrown back into the wholesome side of 2-year-olds and 4-year-olds dressing up as Wonder Woman and asking and trick or treating, asking for candy. Yeah, and it was great. We went to development right by the house, and there were bonfires out, and people were handing out apple cider and rum and hot apple cider, and they had beers they were handing out. So
that's perfect.
It was an adult friendly. Someone handed me a golden monkey, so good high ABV as you walk through the neighborhood. So yeah, it was pretty fun. It was really enjoyable. And what else? I went to a Flyers game. That was good. I went and saw our buddy Eddie Vedder. Got me through my second divorce, and just been working and training, and man, it's been really solid. No, can't complain too much. Nothing too spectacular, I guess. Nothing I need to complain about, or
there we go.
So we're good. No problem. How about you, Chris? How about you? You've had some busy weeks here.
Yeah, I've been through it.
The gales of November.
The last 2 weeks. Yeah, the gales of November arrived at the expected time for me. I forgot that it was Halloween on the day that it was Halloween. I was traveling. I had to, as we talked about last couple episodes, I went and helped my brother move from North Carolina to Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we moved him from the 30th, and then I got back on the 3rd. So, I spent the end of October, beginning of November on the road. And yeah, it was a battle, man. I flew into to Charlotte on the morning of the 30th, picked up the U-Haul, packed it up. That took a long time, just packing everything, getting it all squared away. Then we pushed off very, very early on Halloween morning, about 5:30 Eastern time, and we switched time zones. But I spent from 5:30 a.m. Eastern on the 31st until 2:30 a.m. Eastern on the 1st, on the road. So I had a 21-hour stint of transit, which was it was the longest I've ever traveled in one day. We stopped for probably a combined total of 3 hours to eat and whatnot, get gas, pee, all that kind of stuff. Load up on energy drinks and sodas and nicotine and the like. But yeah, I put 1,000 miles behind me in one sitting, which was a PR for me. I've never gone 1,000 in one day. I've never driven for, I think I had 17 and a half hours of wheel time on that first day. But I'll tell you, dude, I had some phone calls in the morning, couple phone calls in the afternoon and evening, but I didn't even listen to any podcasts. I didn't do audiobooks. I just listened to music the whole time. As we've been saying this fall, like I think you and I have been into a lot of music, and a lot of stuff has sounded really good. So I was fully armed with some of my own stuff, but then a couple of my friends threw together some playlists of stuff they wanted me to listen to. So that helped a lot. When you're driving that long, you go through like your second, third, fourth, and fifth wins. I made it through like 5:30 to 1:30 pretty easily. And the morale started to decrease a little bit, from 2:30 to 3:30. And I was feeling pretty cooked, which was a problem because we still had a long way to go. But as all good things, they come back around, and I was able to recapture some of the focus and the drive. And I'd say the most enjoyable part of the drive was like hours 19 through 21, pretty much. We had gotten up into Wisconsin at the time, and it was raining a little bit. It was like 40 degrees, but I put the beanie on, I opened up the window, and I was just blasting music going down the highway in the U-Haul. So that felt pretty good. We were able to get some good sleep that night, and we woke up on the morning of the 1st, and we only had 90 more minutes to go to Minneapolis, which was great. Spent my first night of my life in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Don't know if I'll be back, but we did it. Everything else went very according to plan. The move in, the unload, the setup, and had a couple of days to just kind of lay low on the 2nd and the 3rd, and then I flew back here the night of the 3rd. So I've been back for Tuesday. I got back late Monday. So Tuesday through the rest of the week was pretty busy, but got everything done, and I've had a low key weekend. Just kind of recovering. I've pretty much slept like 8 to 9 hours every single night since I've been back, which is great. So getting over a little bit of a cold that I had, but it was good, man. I like Minneapolis. My brother's in a really cool neighborhood up there. Looking forward to visiting. And Minneapolis is only 3 hours away from where I went to college at Iowa State. So I anticipate in the future I'll try to do a 2 birds with 1 stone trip out that way, and maybe see some friends that still live out that way and visit my brother. But we're back now, back to our regularly scheduled programming, at least for a little bit. It's nice to come off the road for a while, because I think September and October, of those 8 weekends, I think I was traveling for like 5 or 6 of them. So it's nice to be at home base. So I'm pretty good though, man. I got no complaints. Similarly, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling all right.
That's right. Yeah. The road trip, the road trip road that you go on, where you get that initial boost, and then you kind of come down, and then you go back.
It's been a while since I've done a trip like that. I mean, I used to do it a couple times a year when I would come from Iowa. I'd come back to Rhode Island for the summers and stuff. But I felt like I had a true turn back the clock performance. I felt like it was a really, really good showing. And then I was able to handle it, which, there's always some doubts when you haven't done something like that in a while, but I was able to put my best foot forward and get it done. So
you had no shot. The bullpen was spent.
Everybody man. Yeah, it was up to me.
Yeah. It's funny how those last few hours, like you lock in at a different level, and you're like, wow, I wish I had that at hour 4 when it was tough.
Mm-hmm. But hey, you always, there's always a little something when you need it. You got to dig deep. That's what the greats do. And I'd like to, maybe consider myself to be getting closer to that territory. So it's pretty good, man. Now we're back in the saddle for episode 242. And as you could tell by the title of this episode, and Ethan, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, Soundgarden have officially been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, members of the class of 2025, and the induction ceremony took place Saturday night, November 8th. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit. But before we do that, we'd like to thank some people. We'd like to discuss this day in music, but it starts with thanks. And we'd like to thank you for listening, for tuning in, rating the show, leaving a review, sharing it with a friend perhaps, or directly supporting us through either our Patreon or through our merchandise, both of which are linked in the show notes. And if you're interested in joining the Patreon, we have a $2, $5, and $10 tier. You can join at any of those levels and support us with whatever financial value per month you're comfortable with. You can also choose your own adventure there and give more or less, whatever works for you. And since the last time we recorded, we do have a new member of the $2 tier. We would like to welcome KL Wallace to the Patreon. So KL, it's great to have you. Looking forward to connecting with you and seeing why you're choosing to support us, and if you have any topics that you'd like us to discuss here on the podcast. So welcome aboard, KL, and we would also like to thank by name the members of the top tier on Patreon, starting at the top with Abraham and Frank, followed by the Cracker Man. Then we've got Jamie Lynn, Doug Endy, Carlene Salona, What the Fuck is Up, Denny's, Black Hole Sean, Nikki Six, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Eddie Vedder got me through my second divorce, Sherry Matthews, Gochu John, Russell, King Buzzo Stole My Hair, The Michael Dooley Project, Ultra Mega OK, A Bit Dusty, Heidi in Chains, Looking California, Feeling Minnesota, and Grits Likes Pasta. So thank you all for your continued support. Ethan, I also want to check in on something else. We've read some of the email correspondence from this individual here, but we've been following the Grunge Bible podcast journey of very faithful listener Tara from New York. And Tara, as we know, started listening to the podcast not terribly long ago and had a lot of ground to catch up, but we received an email from Tara saying that they finally caught up and said, "Hi, legends. Well, it only took me about a year and a half, but I can finally say it. I'm officially all caught up on the Grunge Bible podcast. I hit the finish line yesterday, 2 days after the New York City Marathon. Talk about timing. I didn't race this year, but listening to you guys totally made my day. I want to thank you again for bringing so much happiness into my world. Thanks again for bringing amazing content around my favorite topic, music, with just the right amount of sports talk." So we received some offers to head into the city and break bread with Tara at some point, perhaps over a sporting event or a concert at some of New York's most vaunted venues. So Ethan, we'll have to offline that and figure out a time that we can go, because that would be really cool. And just to
Steve will be there in December.
I'm telling you, man. Maybe not at MSG, but that'd be sick.
Some dive bar, I guarantee it.
Absolutely. So Tara, thank you so much for your support. Really happy that you're with us in the present times now, and we look forward to continuing to insert sports into just about every single podcast that we put out, because we're sports guys. And in the spirit of that, the World Series ended. I was able to watch Game 7. I missed Game 6. I was on Halloween. I was driving, but I was able to catch Game 7. And man, what a finish, dude.
Oh yeah, I don't actually think we got to talk about this.
No,
so
we haven't.
Air it out. Yeah, it was. I mean, overall, it could be the best World Series I've ever watched. The ending was not what I wanted.
In recent memory. Yeah, the ending was also not what I wanted.
The ending was not what I wanted, but it was incredible. I mean, that Game 7 had everything. It came down to managers' decisions, making calls, big plays by unexpected people, just all the hits.
The benches cleared.
Benches cleared for a second. I mean, yeah, dude, it really had everything. It had close plays. I mean, at the end, there's a lot of controversy in it, and it really, I mean, talk about taking the pulling the jaws of defeat and coming up victorious for the Dodgers, and in the same breath, losing that game is such a. I mean, that's
6 inches away from winning the World Series. That forced play at the plate with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa just being a little late getting.
Now, did you see his lead? On third base, I mean, everybody's talking about that.
There's been a lot of discourse about that, and it's funny because all of
they didn't have Bo Bichette. If he was healthy, they'd be fine.
Well, the thing, all of the pundits are saying that he had too small of a lead, but anyone who's ever played Major League Baseball has defended IKF for that, and the consensus is that you only have as big of a lead as far as the third baseman is off the bag, because you don't want to get doubled up on a line drive or a throwback by the catcher after a pitch. And if you look at the video, Carlos Fablis, who is the Blue Jays' third base coach. He was the third base coach of the Red Sox for a number of years prior to his time in Toronto. But he actually marked out where IKF should have his lead. Like he drew a line in the sand with the back of his foot, and that's where he lined up. So it's just one of those things. The other thing too, if the Blue Jays, if the Dodgers second baseman doesn't lose his balance a little bit, it's not a close play. The only thing is, I think he maybe could have run through the bag or gone head first. I think he lost a little bit of momentum sliding feet first, but I mean, that's why you play the game. And, everybody, the other thing too, man, like nobody's playing to win and nobody wants to win more than the players on the field. So, they're doing the best that they can in that moment. And that's sports. Somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. And, that's how you get great results, is when both teams are playing well and they both want to win as badly as the other team. And, somebody's got to come out on top, and it wasn't Toronto's time.
Yeah, and can't blame one play and one situation,
especially in a sport like baseball, man. I mean, I think it went, what would it go, 12 innings? I mean, there's so many turning points there. If somebody locates a little better, if somebody is able to come through, somebody takes a pitch, somebody doesn't get doubled up. Yeah, there's just so many turning points. You can't really boil it down to one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really was a special sporting event to watch. Definitely bummed that, because we just recently gave our two favorite players for the Blue Jays. So I think it was pretty obvious the Dodgers they're not the Yankees in my eyes. Like, people hate both of them pretty.
Well, and everybody's shitting on the Dodgers for how much they spend, but like they're not breaking any rules. Like they're operating within the confines of what the sport is. And if you don't like it, then they have to institute some sort of salary cap or salary floor and stop doing the deferred money thing. But I mean, there's teams. I mean, the Mets, the Yankees. I mean, the Blue Jays spent really heavily this past year too. I mean, the teams spend. You got to still win the games. So I don't really have that much of an issue with it. I mean,
their players are not like, No. I mean, you can't hate. I mean, Mookie Betts, I don't know what you think about Mookie Betts. Yeah, you love Mookie Betts, and he lost him.
Yeah.
And Shohei, he's great for baseball.
Yeah.
Even Yamamoto, dude. I mean,
that was a hell of a performance.
It was an incredible performance. And, he warms up with javelin. He throws a turbo jab. He does a lot of training. It's actually pretty.
That's grunge.
It's very grunge, dude. He like his stretching routine, because he's a small dude, and the way that he recovers, like there's a lot of really good sports science baked into that situation, which I appreciate a lot because, baseball pitchers and all the little league and the development is pretty hardcore in how they do stuff, and I think he did it a little different way.
It's really impressive too, because this day and age, like pitching is not a small person's game, and he's not a big guy. He's under 6 foot, for example, and he throws hard and he locates. He's an anomaly, and it's really impressive that somebody's able to go out there and pitch as well as he can with his stature.
It's bringing back the starter, dude, the complete games.
That's it, dude. Very impressive stuff, man. So with that, the calendar shifts and baseball goes into hibernation until pitchers and catchers in February. So,
now we have hockey season and basketball, and obviously in the middle, we're coming up on Thanksgiving.
Football, NFL, the whole thing.
Yep, we're about to have the sad part about the football season where you start getting sad that it's coming to an end.
Yeah, man.
We're not quite there yet.
Well, the show
but I do want
to
go back to where we started was the listeners and just having people that truly appreciate what we do. You guys are the reason that we do like doing this. Take solace in the fact that some people, they're caught up. They look
forward to it every Monday. Yeah,
right. And some people say that they've listened to every episode, and some people I believe, and there's a few that I believe, and Tara was one of them.
Absolutely. Goes without saying.
I mean, it's awesome. I mean, that's a lot of time.
I haven't even listened
to them.
I haven't listened to all of them either.
Our producer hasn't even. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's get into this day in music. So
yeah, let's do it, Ethan. I'll let you lead off here.
Yeah, that's right. You're in a very you're on deck in a very very important position.
Big way. Yeah,
I'm gonna get on base though.
Absolutely.
All right. In 1973, Elton John's album "Goodbye Yellow Brick Road" hits #1 in America, where it stays at that place for 8 weeks. And
Dude, seventh studio album, double album. Looking at the track list here, man. Candle in the Wind, Benny and the Jets, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Also, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. I mean, this was just a hit parade here. Also, followed up such albums as Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player, and 1972's Honky Chateau, which is a personal favorite of mine. Elton John, he was involved. I forget who he helped. He performed at the Rock Hall of Fame induction on Saturday night. I forget who or what he did, but he did something. He's always always out there, man.
He is, dude. He is. Sir Elton John. So,
man.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's big. So let's move forward here.
The most important one of the
this
day.
is perhaps the most important thing that we'll talk about, Soundgarden notwithstanding, but this might even be more significant because on this day 50 years ago, the gales of November did come early. The SS Edmund Fitzgerald en route from Wisconsin to Detroit, Michigan, it sunk on Lake Superior in a storm of all storms, killing all 29 men on board, including the captain, Ernest McSorley. And this tragedy was memorialized by the late, great Gordon Lightfoot in the song The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, which has become unbelievably popular in popular culture and internet spheres in the last few years. But yeah, man, this song, November 10th, 1975, the Eddie Fitz went down, and Gordon Lightfoot read an article about it later in November of 75, and he cut the song, he wrote it and recorded it in December of 1975 and queued it up for a release the following year in 1976. But dude, we were talking about it, man. The Mother Nature, the ocean, I mean, not even the ocean, this was Lake Superior, but how unbelievably harsh conditions can be. Out on Lake Superior, the Edmund Fitzgerald encountered sustained winds upwards of 70 miles an hour, waves 25 feet with rogue waves approaching 35 feet. And that's just a baffling height. You always think like, you're standing on the sidewalk and you're outside of like a 3 or 4 story building and you just look up to the apex of that building. It's like the waves that ship encountered were taller than that structure. It's unbelievable to think that anybody could survive. And there was another ship out there called the Arthur M. Anderson, which did survive the storm. And I think one of the most ominous things about this is the final transmission from Captain McSorley aboard the Edmund Fitzgerald to the Arthur M. Anderson was, quote, "We are holding our own." And it was a short time after that the ship went under. And talk about a beautiful tribute. I mean, Gordon Lightfoot was on his game for the song The Edmund Fitzgerald, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Perhaps one of the hardest lyrics in all of recorded history. Does anyone know where the love of God goes when the waves turn the minutes to hours? I mean, that's heavy, man.
It's so heavy. And like you said, he recorded this, within a month
inspired.
in December. Yeah, it was a quick turnaround and he knew that it had to be memorialized. And just talking about the devilish, sea and open water. I couldn't imagine this was a boat that is
bigger than most.
It's bigger than most, and they knew what they were encountering, and they've done this before, and the gales came early. But I'm thinking about like back when Vikings or people were like really
without the National Weather Service giving you forecasts.
Yeah, and they would go out with these boats that obviously are not built for this, and just having something be capsized and being totally helpless with only one outcome that is possible. You know what I mean? Like being out there in the water, it would be, oh man, incredibly scary. There's not many things that really put the fear of God in me in thinking about it in my basement, but being stuck in the middle of endless water, whether it be an ocean or a lake, is
that's why there's that old saying, any port in a storm. And this one particularly tragic because the searchers got out there and they recognized that the Edmund Fitzgerald was only 15 miles away from Whitefish Bay, where they would have found refuge from the storm. But as the song goes on to say, they might have split up or they might have capsized. They may have broke deep and took water. And all that remains is the faces and the names of the wives and the sons and the daughters.
He was on fire, dude.
Dude, he was absolutely on fire. Great part about this story, about the lyrics, rather, to this song. The seventh verse begins, "In a musty old hall in Detroit, they prayed in the Maritime Sailors Cathedral." And apparently, as the legend goes, the congregation at the Maritime Sailors Cathedral took issue to the fact that Gordon Lightfoot referred to their hall as musty. So in subsequent live performances of this song, after he had received that, those misgivings from the congregation, he changed it from "in a musty old hall" to "in a rustic old hall." So, I mean, once again, this was an act of love by Gordon Lightfoot with the utmost respect for those involved. And he's visited the Maritime Sailors Cathedral. He did during his life a few times. So, talk about, like, that meme of, like, the people post about songs where it's like the pen is on fire as they're writing. Like, this was Gordon Lightfoot with the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. So, we ring the bell 29 times today for each individual that perished in that tragedy. And 50 years gone. The Arthur Anderson, that ship that was out there, is still it's still on the water, and had the lifespan for freighters like that is 50, 60, 70 years sometimes. So had the gales of November not come early, the Edmund Fitzgerald may still be with us. But as we said, we've got the memories of the faces and the names of the wives and the sons and the daughters.
Yeah, that is rest in peace to all the crew members, and absolutely, and obviously the Fitzgerald itself. Very somber. We were spitting around the idea of doing a whole episode on this, but because there's been a lot of Billy Strings has been doing some covers of this, and like I said, it needs to be played in your local dive bar next time you're with everybody. This is on a
hit
short
up the touch
list.
Tunes. You gotta put
this has moved up. Like if you're playing billiards and there's like some smoke in the air and there's a jukebox or a touch tunes, like this is one of those songs that really gets the boys going, gets everybody potentially
does.
Crying out there.
I don't cry for many things in my life, but you better believe that on November the 10th, I'm going to be shedding a couple of tears for the mighty Edmund Fitzgerald.
So with that, we're going to move on
and rapid fire a couple of these.
1975, we have Jimmy Eat World frontman Jim Adkins is born. So he's 50 years old.
That's it. He was born the day that the Edmund Fitzgerald gave up the ghost.
That's quite the...
Welcome back, SS Edmund Fitzgerald. You can't tell the story of the late 90s, early 2000s alt rock scene without Jimmy Eat World. So happy birthday, Big Jim Adkins. Let's move forward to 1979. On this day, the Eagles song "Heartache Tonight" hits number 1 on the charts. And this just goes to show you the Eagles, how big their discography is, because, when I was putting this note down, I'd even forgotten about this song. But, they've got all over the place. They've got the soft rock, they've got the heavier stuff with Joe Walsh, and they've got something like "Heartache Tonight." So there is a tool for everybody in the Eagles toolbox. So belated congratulations for the mythic run that "Heartache Tonight" went on in 1979.
Incredible.
Also on this day in 1979, we've got Silverchair bassist Chris Joannou was born. And if you haven't heard this before, the Silverchair Boys were only 15 when Frog Stop came out. Unbelievable. I recently discovered that, nobody had ever said that about them before. So
I'm just hearing this for the first time.
Yeah, it's big news.
Happy birthday, Chris. All right. I thought you were going to let me do this one so you could get the Bruce at the end. But in 1986, Bruce Springsteen releases Live, collection from 1975 to 85, a 40-song box set featuring live recordings. He set a record at the time of 1.5 million advance orders, and that's pretty unreal.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. To get 1.5 pre-orders, 1.5 million pre-orders. This is second best selling live album, going 13-time platinum.
Yeah, man, this is essential for Bruce Springsteen fans. There's so many great live performances of some of his best songs on this live box set. My gym that I go to, it's open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 to noon, and then every evening from 4 to 8. So sometimes I go in for the morning 9 to noon session, and the gym owner, my coach Jared, he's a big Springsteen guy, and he's been known many times. When 9 o'clock hits, he just presses play on Live 75 to 85 and just lets it run through the entire morning session, which is pretty great. So yeah, this is just a powerhouse of a box set, and there's some live performances that I think are even better than some of the originals on the albums. But speaking of Springsteen, I did see the new Bruce Springsteen movie Deliver Me From Nowhere, about the creation of his Nebraska album. I saw that Friday night with my mom, who's a big Springsteen fan as well. And dude, Jeremy Allen White came to play. We've been on a pretty good run, I think, between this and the Bob Dylan movie with Timothée Chalamet of actors being able to embody the musician that they're performing as. And his acting was great, but I was really blown away by his vocals and how he was able to perform some of Bruce's songs. He really nailed it, which was really great. I'm very happy that Jeremy Strong had a leading role in the film as well. He's one of my favorites. He played John Landau, and it was a really, really great movie. So I've been in the Springsteen zone for a little bit. We also got a text about the Nebraska box set from the great Adam Bray, obviously a big Bruce Springsteen fan as well, and he's been our muse for a lot of different musical entries. Yeah, he got us into Judas Priest back in the day. He's been one of our senseis for the metal scene, along with Eric Liederman. So it's pretty good, and I'm excited to keep listening to that and talk about the movie and the Nebraska box set with all the Springsteen heads out there, because there are a lot of them. So I'm happy that we're not alone in this.
And that wraps up this day in music.
Yes,
a lot of good stuff. Lots of a lot of sad stuff too. Yeah. But you can't have the good without the bad. So
yeah, you cannot. Let's get into the main event. What do you say?
Yeah, main event. It's finally happened.
It finally happened.
Soundgarden is now. We can shut down all the petitions and the websites. No one needs to ask that we need to do something to get them in, because it happened. Soundgarden is finally inducted in the Hall of Fame, and it was a very appropriate setting. They had the main four that were still alive. Obviously, Chris. We had Ben Shepherd,
all
Kim,
surviving. Main
Hero.
Members.
And, it was great. There was a lot of gratitude. I think that it was a big moment for, the band, obviously. I think everybody out there that grew up and experienced Soundgarden and experienced the change in culture and music scene in Seattle and across the country. I think this was important for a lot of people, right?
It really was. And I got the feeling of... that this induction, and say what you will about the nominating process and who's in, who's out, who took too long to get in, and who's still waiting for their call. But I think Soundgarden's induction, was the latest iteration of maybe gaining a little bit of peace and perhaps a little bit more closure. And I know for me, with Chris Cornell's death in 2017, like the grief that you feel about it and the sadness, it kind of comes in waves. And I was anticipating feeling it when, with the induction and everything. And I absolutely did. Like, it was about 30 minutes. Jim Carrey was he was doing the inducting, and he was assisted by Lily Cornell Silver, Chris's and Susan Silver's daughter, Chris's oldest child. And just listening to Jim talk about it, Lily talk about it, and then the recorded stuff, of, I think Tom Morello talked in it, Geddy Lee talked in it, a couple other people, and obviously all the band members did as well, including they had footage from Chris in various interviews over the year. And in the middle of it, you kind of, when Chris is on screen talking about the band, like, just for a split second, sometimes you forget that he's not with us, and then you hear Tom Morello talking about Chris's absence and everything. And obviously that's at the forefront of, the band playing, at the induction ceremony and everybody talking about it. And man, it's just, that loss has not gotten smaller in time. And I think it's the gravity of it only increases. And, I think everything that's going to be related to Soundgarden from this point forward and until, all of them pass away, it's just going to be illuminated with that, the absence of Chris. And it's so sad. And I just, my one wish is that he would have been there for it. And, you know, all the band members in the press leading up to the time that they were announced until yesterday, when they got inducted, you know, they just talk about how they think Chris would have been proud and he would have been pleased. And, you know, they definitely wanted, you know, they wished that he could have been up there with them last night. But I think it was really well done. They had Mike McCready join them, in addition to Jerry Cantrell, Taylor Momsen, Brandy Carlisle, and then Chris's youngest daughter, Tony, did a version of Fell on Black Days with Nancy Wilson from Heart, who's been, you know, a consistent member of various tributes and a consistent member of the music scene out that way in the Pacific Northwest. So, yeah, I really appreciated it. I'm glad that, you know, they were able to, you know, have their day and be honored in that way. And it's nice to see the music world, you know, come together and pay tribute to this band. And, you know, I don't think their impact is ever going to decrease. You know, there's still youngsters that are getting into Soundgarden for the first time, just as there were in the late 80s and just as there were in the 90s. And every step of the way, you know, anywhere, anytime, any place, there's going to be somebody who's listening to Rusty Cage for the first time, or, you know, hears Black Hole Sun and is inspired. And I felt that you know, all the band members had, you know, they approached it so well, and they, you know, they thanked everybody, and they did shout out the two other members who weren't inducted, who spent a brief time in Soundgarden, and Scott Sundquist and Jason Everman. Yeah, it just it was a heavy night, I would say.
Yeah, you got a speech from Hiro Yamamoto, which is really cool. He's got
the
a recognition.
Man. Yeah, he's the man. I'm glad that he's played a part in this, because as they were saying, you know, Chris was like at the beginning, like it was just me and Hiro. Like I was playing drums, and, you know, then Kim comes along, obviously, and then Matt joins, and, you know, they really start to take hold. And, you know, those early stages, I think they were so responsible for their sound, and I really appreciated as well how the guys in the band were talking about how, you know, the creative process with Soundgarden was so positive and encouraging. And whether, you know, Matt kept harping on the fact that he's an introvert by nature, and if there's anybody in the world that could have gotten his ideas out of him, it was Chris. And Chris was always the guy to say, you know, hey, let's give it a shot. Let's work this idea out and, you know, see what comes from it. So I just, you know, the theme that I got from the guys talking about it is that band was just, you know, it was all about carving out a positive place for the Misfits, where, you know, they didn't really have many other places. And, you know, Hiro and Kim both talking about how the fact that they're children of immigrants, and, you know, they're kind of finding their way in this country and dealing with, you know, what their identity is, you know, coming from their families, and, you know, certainly coming into a space that, you know, there's not a lot of people that looked like them who were making music like that. And it's just, you know, to be able to, you know, put all of that aside and use all of that as well as an asset, and to create music together is really special. And, you know, there hasn't been a band like them since, and there never will be.
Yeah. I think watching them perform on stage, and, you know, there's been a few other bands that have carried on and continue to play with different iterations. And for some reason, you know, so Taylor does a good job up front, and I know there's definitely talk about them playing and finishing
Taylor Momsen and Brandy
and
Carlisle both have been rumored, like if something ever were to happen, it would be either of those two, because Taylor's done, she obviously did the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She performed with Soundgarden at the Taylor Hawkins tribute, and Brandy Carlisle, actually, she's performed with the Soundgarden members a couple of times, and they released studio performances of Searching with My Good Eye Closed, and I believe Black Hole Sun as well. And I thought they did a really good job. Taylor sang Rusty Cage, and then they both sang Black Hole Sun, with McCready shredding guitar on Rusty Cage, and Jerry Cantrell coming out for Black Hole Sun. So it is interesting, and I appreciate that all these years later, you know, I mean, we're 40 years down the road from a lot of this stuff getting started, and there's still that brotherly element of the music scene in the Pacific Northwest. And I'm glad that, you know, Jerry was there, and that Mike was there, and even Nancy Wilson was there. You can tell that this stuff still matters to everybody who played a part in that music scene at the time. And I think it's good for people to see that.
Yeah, and kind of where I was going was, you know, I think they probably will do some more and release some stuff, but this, it always is going to seem like a tribute without Chris. Not having, like, some bands will be able to move on and, you know, and add a new frontman and be able to continue kind of a second leg. And I feel like, you know, Chris was just such a bright light, and watching, and like on Saturday, the way they talked about him, I mean, it was like, it was a lot about Chris, obviously, and missing him, and then him being the focal point. And this is not new news to anybody,
Right.
but I think moving forward, it's definitely going to be hard to watch them and not, just always think that it's like a tribute every time they step on stage. Not saying that, Alice in Chains without Lane, or, SDP without Scott, and there's bands, but like, same thing. God forbid if Eddie Vedder ever passed away, like, I mean, he's kind of in the same position for sure, where like it really would be, it couldn't go on without. It wouldn't feel the same as like a next section. And I don't know. I just got this big sense of like, this is, we may get some more music from them, and they maybe do some outfits and stuff, but it's always going to be, it has this tribute aspect to it, because Chris was just, he really was on a special, different level than everybody. Just the way, like, the impact on not just the band but the music scene. Like, he was there starting that stuff in the 80s, and I think Lane was a little bit later, and everybody kind of followed him in his steps. And
well, they were the
Andy.
first really the first band from Seattle to get signed to a major label. They were kind of the first across the breach there in a lot of those ways. And I feel that all of that too about Chris. And I think something, obviously this is not a surprise to anybody because this happens to everybody, but watching those guys, like, a lot of time has passed, man. I mean, it's been 40 years, 41 years, I think, since Soundgarden really started getting together in '84. And, you look at those guys, and, they've spent a lot of time on this planet. They've done a lot of things, and they're all getting older too. And everybody's hair, might be a little bit grayer now. And Kim's beard is just silver and white. And, it's one of those things, and unfortunately, given the nature of the way that Chris passed away, the way that he died, you didn't have the opportunity to give him his flowers, so to speak, for his career achievements in the way that everybody would like to. And I'm just, say what you will about obviously how people get inducted to the Rock Hall of Fame, or, what the material ethics of it are, or whatever, but it's a good thing, and it makes me really happy as a fan of Soundgarden to know that they had that night to be recognized for their life's achievements. And the funny thing too about all those guys from that scene, I feel like damn near every single one of them in one interview at one point or another, they're like, yeah, man, like, all we wanted to do was just put out a record. And he's like, when we were able to do that, like, we felt like we had succeeded. And Matt Cameron said that so often, as all the other guys have. They're like, hey, like, we put a record out, like, that's like, we didn't have aspirations beyond that. We just wanted to make music with our friends. And that's what Lily said when she was introducing the band before they played Rusty Cage. She's like, I'm just so grateful that my dad got to make music with his friends for so many years. And that's what it's all about. I mean, as we were talking about the interview that we did with Scott Crane about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago. And, that's where it started. It's just people that were into music that not everybody else was into, and they found one another, and they bonded over it, and they created new music. And, the cycle of inspiration continues. And I think Soundgarden, you think of inspirational trees, like there's always going to be branches growing from Soundgarden's tree, which I think is the greatest testament to who they were as a band, and what they remain, in the minds and hearts of everybody who's ever listened to them.
Yeah, I mean, they revitalized rock and roll, and
they did.
Got
That's what Jim Carrey
again.
said. He's like, they restored my faith in rock and roll.
Yeah, and I believe it. I mean, I totally, like, I mean, they were very, very important to the rock and roll culture and what was coming out, and the loudness, and it's I think it's just important. And it was always fun to go back and hear them talk about it. Mm-hmm. See old video and get the memorial going, and like, it just gets you thinking about the importance of the moment that they were in. Yeah. And it's really cool, and it just shows you what what type of influence starting a band would have, or starting a this or doing that, and like, you just never know what happens in 35 years down the road, what type of impact. So there's these ceremonial get-togethers and awards are always, it is fun to look at the impact, and like you said, see the trees and see what has prospered from it. So
yeah, I loved that story that Jim Carrey told about the first time that he met the band. It was in 1996. He was hosting SNL, and he said to the bigwigs at NBC, he's like, I'm not hosting SNL unless Soundgarden plays. And they made that happen. And I loved that they had a picture of the guitar, that the telly that the band gifted him. I'm sure that's still a very cherished possession of his. And I mean, that's what it's all about, man. That's what it comes down to. I just think
like having a late night show and then having them come out and play like rock stars and coming in and just, I mean, the presence that you are going to feel from a band like that. Like there's bands like that going on now, but it's like, these guys are, when Chris Cornell walks in the room, like, what does that feel like?
Yeah. Like if Chris Cornell walks in a room, like everybody else is at best like the second most paid attention to person in that room.
I mean, that must just be an unreal feeling to be within it's a studio, so it's a little bigger than a room, but just in a small room with this guy.
Yeah.
And then everybody else too, obviously, but man.
Yeah. It's sad too. I mean, we got involved in this music scene much later, obviously, being is the fact that we weren't born until the mid '90s. But the thing that I always think about with with Lane and with Kurt, it's like it's hard for me to square the fact with like what their legacies are with the fact that like they were people on this earth at one time. And like honestly, as time goes on with Chris, like I start to feel that way more too. I'm like, I can't, like, it's just hard for me to square that, like, there was a time where like, he was out there, and he's still out there, just in a different way. But it is, I don't know, it's sad. Like there's so many complex emotions. I think anytime, the Soundgarden guys get together, and it always will be, because I mean that complex dance of like, paying respect to the past and remembering a friend, but also moving forward. And I can't imagine what the grieving process was like, and continues to be like for the guys in the band. And I'm not sure that's something that ever really ends. And I think, a lot, they all took it really hard. Obviously, I mean, Matt, Kim, and Ben were on stage with him, an hour and a half before he died, basically. And what that must feel like. And I just felt like it was very respectful. I thought the performances were great. I'm glad that, Chris's children were involved. I think that was really important. I'm glad that Susan Silver was shouted out, longtime manager of Soundgarden. And yeah, overall, it was a good night. It was an important night, I think, for music. Yeah. And something that I did want to shout out to, like ever the quiet, silent one, Ben Shepherd. He gave, I think, perhaps the shortest remarks, the final remarks from the guys in the band. He was the last to speak, and he recited some adage. I'm not sure, I couldn't quite understand or figure what he was saying, but he recited some adage that translates to, "We're side by side. Let's go forward. There's a lot of work to do." And I just kind of took that one to heart and been thinking about that since I heard him say that.
Lots of work to do.
Yeah, man.
Lots of traffic. No, that is good. It was just, like I said, it was a special night, and it was just needed. It felt a lot of closure was had, I think, and rest. So, but you never know. There might be a next chapter, and we'll be here to see it.
That unfinished album is crawling towards completion here. And I'm very heavily anticipating hearing that, and stinks once again, complex emotions with that too, because you have gratitude that you can hear it, but you always think about what if, and if there could have been more, and but more importantly than that, just wish Chris was here for his friends and for his family's sake. I'm sure that as much as we as fans miss him and his music, I mean, it pales in comparison to missing a friend or missing a significant other or a father. It's tough. All these emotions come back when something like this happens, and I've certainly been thinking a lot about that. Since they were inducted earlier this year, and certainly since the ceremony on Saturday night. So glad it happened, and I'm glad that they have their rightful place with Rock and Roll
now
Hall of
all
Fame,
we need is Alice in Chains.
That's it, man. We gotta get the Chains boys in. I imagine it's only a matter of time for them as well. They got to be in there too. Also last night, we got Joe Cocker got inducted. Warren Zevon also inducted. The White Stripes. Super pumped about Warren Zevon though. That guy was the man, and Joe Cocker too, dude. I mean, just the best. So
some of the best vocals you're gonna get.
Sometimes the Rock Hall of Fame gets it right, and I think with a lot of those inductions this year, I think they were able to get it right on some of them. So happy about that, and happy for the memory of a lot of those individuals. So.
Awesome. It kind of puts a bow on our discussion today.
I think so.
Thank you, everybody, for following along and coming to the end of the episode. My song of the week is obviously going to be "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald."
Absolutely.
The original. So please go listen to that, because today's the day, the 50th anniversary. So.
Yeah, it sure is. Before I give my song of the week, I would like to thank our producer, Drew McFadden, for his continued support on this project. But my song of the week is going to be kind of a newer song. Ethan, I can't remember whether we've talked about this band or not, but my song of the week is going to be "Taxes" by Geese. Have you've been into the Geese zone a little bit?
I'm into the Geese zone.
Yeah, Cameron Winter. Yeah, dude. Like, it's
I'm
funny
into the Geese zone. We haven't talked about it.
No, we haven't
very much. But
like, they've been popular for like a year now. I feel like almost a year, and like I've seen their music everywhere, like on TikTok, all over the place. Like, people are like, you got to listen. And it was one of those things where I was like, I know I need to do this. I know I'm going to like it, but for some reason or another, I never took the dive until about a couple of weeks ago. And
there's a big push on the internet for the Geese
big
right
push.
now.
Yeah, dude, they just covered for BBC. They covered
Cillian Murphy commented and said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they just covered "You Get What You Give" by New Radicals for BBC. Like, they did like a live session there, and the New Radicals frontman was like, they're the most important rock band that's doing it right now. Like, he's like, I'm excited about this in a way that I haven't in a long time, and I am too, man. Like, I've just really been listening to that album that they put out. Well, I suppose this album only came out in September. "Getting Killed," dude, so good. Like, "Islands of Men," 100 Horses, and "Taxes" are like my trinity from that record. But my song of the week's gonna be "Taxes." It was one of those. I heard it for the first time, and I listened to it 12 more times right afterwards, and it hasn't gotten old. Dude, like, the New Radicals guy, he was talking about the lyrics, like, "Doctor, heal yourself and I will break my own heart from now on." Like, that is fucking good, man. Like, it's great. It's good to be excited about something that's relatively new. I don't really know too much about the frontman Cameron Winter's solo stuff, but it's nice to have something that's like kind of starting out a little bit, or at least hitting the mainstream a little bit. The Geese have put out a couple of albums beforehand, but "Getting Killed" is certainly the big one here, and I'm all in, man. I'm locked in.
I'm happy to hear. Yeah, I've recently, in the last, I mean, I've heard about them like a year or two ago, because just because the similarity, the closeness to Goose. I was going to say, yeah. So naturally, I listened to these birds. Guys are good. Yeah, like. Birds of feather flock together.
That's it, man.
But yeah, with this new album in September, there's been a big push, and they're getting heard by people that are making the right comments, and like rightfully so. I mean, it is exciting, and like I mean, I love it. So
yeah,
it's been fun.
Yeah, that would be a really cool one to see live. I would totally be down.
Let's go.
Yeah, dude, I think we should. I mean, this is the time you got to go to the show, because I mean, I don't know what
sooner or later,
what quantity or volume of venue Geese are playing right now, but they're not going to be playing them for long. Like, I could see them making, leap after leap, and rightfully so. It's some good stuff, man. So I'm glad. It was funny, we recorded most recently 240 and 241 on the same day, like 2 weeks ago. I had like just started listening to Geese like a couple of days beforehand. I wasn't ready yet.
And then you probably hit it
dude,
on
the drive. I listened to so much Geese on the drive.
So that's awesome. Yeah, dude. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
It was sick. It was really cool. So that's going to be my song of the week.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, thank you everybody so much. We're gonna get out of here. We got football to watch, and we got Sunday to hang. So we're gonna be doing that. So Chris, thank you so much. Drew McFadden, thank you again, and all your listeners. We'll see you again next week.
Rock and roll, everybody. Loud love.
Peace, guys.
On to